Good evening, Anne Arundel County. Good evening, America. Welcome to Promoting Community, Conversation, and Discovery. My name is Anthony Bynum. I'm your host. The name of our production company is the Glen Burnie Players. These are exciting times here in Anne Arundel County. These are exciting times. We have a special show for you planned for this evening. So we want everyone just to relax and have a good time. Now, before we get going with the show, we want to start off with upcoming events. So on the 17th, John Wesley United Methodist Church is hosting a gospel brunch. Actually, it's being held there. It's being hosted by the United Women of Faith. It's a fundraiser for the church. It's from 11 to 2. It's going to feature the Count the Cost Band. We have a little experience with them ourselves. If you are able to, you can probably get tickets at the door. I believe they're $35. Again, it's a fundraiser for the church. If you're able to make it, I'm sure they'd love to have you. Now, also this weekend, tomorrow, the Children's Theater of Annapolis is presenting Legally Blonde. There's two shows, one at 10 a.m., one at 11:30 a.m. If you get the opportunity, you have to go to the site to find out the ticket prices, but if you get the opportunity, check it out. Our most recent production, Jazzing with the Ushers, is available. There's different ways of watching that. Last week I mentioned that we sent it out to all the cable access channels that we do business with. I mentioned our website, theglenburnieplayers.com, but also you can just plug in your URL. That's a little thing you type in your computer. You can just type in episode 13, Jazzing, Jazzin, with the Usher. It'll come right up. Please check it out. We just finished our digital ad buy. It did pretty well, about 2,900 views, about another 430 subscribers. So it's helping us to create that footprint, which we want to do because we want to make this, we want to grow this product. That's what you do with any entity. You want to grow it. That's what our plan is here. References for this week's show. We want to thank the Fine People Wikipedia. We also want to thank Google Images, and we want to thank the Anne Arundel Arts Council. All right, and the only other thing here is our underwriting sponsor, that is the Cleaning Chef. If you're in need of their services, check them out in our credits. Now, most admired. This one we go a little ways back for this one, but it is right here. The name is actually Louis Studs Terkel, but he's known as Studs Terkel. This is a person did a lot in his lifetime. So he was born 5/16/1912. He died 10/31/2008. He was known as an American writer, a historian, an actor, a broadcaster. In fact, he won a Pulitzer for general nonfiction in 1985 for the book The Good War. But he's best remembered, and this is what touches my heart, for the oral histories of common Americans. Matter of fact, much of our show, uh, Community Conversation Discovery, is based on just that. Common Americans who happen to live in this part of Maryland. There's something about the value of all of our lives. All of our lives have value, all of us. And all we're trying to do, and Studs did it a long time before me, was just trying to point that out. Now, he was born to a Russian Jewish immigrant. His name, Samuel Terkel. He was a tailor. His wife, Anne Finkel, was a seamstress. And of course, they lived in New York. I mean, where else would you live back in those days based on their background? That said, they moved to Chicago at the age of 8, and Studs actually had two brothers. Now, he attended McKinley High School. And, it's kind of forgotten, but President McKinley was a well-known guy and of his day, and there were a lot of things named after him. Let's go forward. So from 1926 to 1936, his parents ran a rooming house. He credits his understanding of humanity based on his encounters at that time. Now, he did go to law school, but he was admitted, but he never practiced law. He married an Ida Goldberg. he decided to work in the hotel industry. In fact, at that time he also joined a theater group, and this is where things get interesting. Now, politically, Studs was left of center. He might have even gotten in trouble with the McCarthy. Um, I forget what his committee was called. He might have gotten in trouble with them. I can't tell you. It was actually in the write-up. Um, but he is who he is. We are who we are, folks. We are who we are. Now, he worked with the WPA and the Federal Writers Project under the WPA. This guy did everything as far as meetings. Remember we talked about Milton Berle doing everything? This guy did everything too. He did radio, he did soap operas, he did news and sports, everything to include voiceovers. He interviewed people from as diverse as Martin Luther King, to Bob Dylan, to Frank Zappa. Yeah, Frank Zappa was from Baltimore, by the way. He did TV, he did drama, he did children's shows. This guy was all over the place as it related to communicating. But I first learned about Studs Terkel through Garrison Keillor and his show, The Prairie Home Companion. Saturday evenings, Sundays, for many years, I listened to the show. They had a lot of fun. They were funny. They poked fun at themselves, but they were never mean and vicious. It was always in good, lighthearted stuff, a little different from some of the comedy we see today. He did much, much more, but for all the reasons that I noted and more, most admired this week goes to this man, Studs Terkel. All right, we want to talk next about something of consequence regarding Anne Arundel County. Let's move I want to say the Wayback Machine, but actually it's just the screen share. Let's talk about the Maryland Renaissance Festival. Now, it's located in Cromwell, Maryland, and it's set as a fictional 16th century English village named Revel Grove. It's spread over 27 acres, rather. It opens in August. It runs for 9 weeks. Both my boys worked there at one point. So let's talk a little history. In the early 1970s, there was a Minnesota lawyer. His name was Jules Smith Sr. He invested in a Minnesota Renaissance Festival that was run by George Collum. I don't know if they were friends or not. I didn't really say that. But the festival obviously was a success because it ran every year. Collum left Minnesota to start a new Renaissance Festival, this time the Texas Renaissance Festival. I don't know if they were going to do it with medieval guys or cowboys. I don't know. It doesn't say. But what Smith did is he sold his shares and he moved to Maryland himself. He said, you know what? If Collum can do this, these other guys can do this. I can do it here in Maryland. So maybe Smith was, well, I don't know why he chose Maryland, to be honest with you. I don't know. It doesn't say. First, he set up at right next to the Meriwether Post Pavilion in Columbia. And he had headliners such as Penn and Teller, and it was killing it. He was making the money. But he moved it in 1985 to Crownville. And I'm going to guess, because it was just too expensive to do business in Columbia. They do extremely well, though. They average 16,000 people a day. 300,000 for the season, 9 weeks. Like I said, that's what they do. They get the local help. Plus, people bring their own costumes, and it's participatory entertainment. And maybe that's the best kind. You go to an NBA game, you're not shooting jumpers, okay? You know what I mean? You go to the NBL and you're not pitching. Maybe a ball might end up somewhere near you, but that's about it. So participatory entertainment is what they do, and it's important. So they have 10 stages. They're doing it all. They're doing it all. So we're going to stop the share. There's one more thing I want to cover. I'm going to address. I talked for a split second about the WPA. Studs Terkel was involved in it. The WPA was important. It was an important agency in our country for a certain period of time, the Depression. Folks just weren't working. The economy had just slowed. It was probably a world depression, That's when they're at their hardest because nothing's going right for anybody. So President Roosevelt came up with this idea. He was going to pump a bunch of money into the economy. It's probably the first time that this was done in the administration outside of war. Of course, war is different. You know, you had to pump money to fight wars. But it's probably the only time it's ever been done at a national level. So they did projects. They built roads. They built dams. Stuff like that. But there were different elements to this WPA. One of them, and this is why I'm bringing this up, was the Federal Theater Project. Now, this was actually ran by actually, the WPA was ran by Henry Hopkins, but the Federal Theater Project was actually run by a Hallie Flanagan. She was the director. And it gave talented, creative people a chance. People like Arthur Miller, he wrote The Crucible. And Orson Welles, War of the Worlds. We know who that guy is. And John Houseman. Now, John Houseman was around a long time. We saw him in the 70s. I think he was a lawyer in this one of the, no, he was a law professor in some show. He talked very stout, and you would think he was English. I don't think he was, but these are creative people, and they got their chance here. I might double back at another time because there was also, I believe, a Black Harlem dance troupe or something like that I saw when I was going through this. So I might double back and take a look at them at some point. But again, this is about Anne Arundel County, and this is in Clownville. So there you go. So again, exciting times here in Anne Arundel County. Check out episode 13, Jazzing with the Ushers. A lot of different ways to see it. You can always go to our website. That's where our shows are, theglenburnieplayers.com. So for everyone here at the Glen Burnie Players, again, my name is Anthony Bynum. Until next time, bye-bye.